Hello, everyone. I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming for Season 57, 5 versus 5 Grand Arena Championship, Week 1. I am joined by my regular co-hosts, Dagger, TJ, Sasha, Aisha, and Fatal. Dagger, how you doing today? How'd you do this week?
Busy, but overall doing good.
Yeah, how'd you do this week?
1 and 2, I had limited time the first couple rounds, which is going to be a theme probably going forward. But I did get to experiment and test some stuff out. But I went 1 and 2, so I will be talking about some of my tests. And yeah.
All right. TJ, how about you? How you doing? How'd the week go?
Got my ass handed to me by old Gildy Yama from Cop Patrol, but we got a lot of tests, dude. So honestly, I had a great week. I had a 1-1 and an Erodium. Is that fair?
Yeah. I hear you've been getting a little that trickle down your way now. So.
I'm getting the sprinkles of rain and hide your kids and hide the animals and everything. Hell, it's frozen over. I get Erodium now. I'm cool.
As long as you get them sparingly, it's kind of nice once in a while.
Well, my round 1 is Erodium. So
okay. Oh yeah. See. Okay. Not bad. Sasha, how about you, sir? How was your week?
It was good. It was light on quality matchups. So I went 1-0 with 2 Erodium, so it was a 3-0 week. But I had a really fun match with the Partic account with Bebe. I think is doing that. So that was a lot of fun. But that was my one real match for the week.
Bebe is a great player. Fun fighting him.
For sure.
Fatal, how about you? How was your week? How'd it go?
The week was kind of quiet for me, honestly. Most of my attention and energy was actually kind of more directed towards this week. So, I don't know. Like, 2 of my matches were just, like, last-second fights, and one of them my opponent had it even attacked. I don't know. Things were happening in the game, but not in my GC matches.
Fair enough. Low octane. All right. Yeah, I spent a lot of time, and Dagger knows about it. I spent a lot of time getting ready for week 2, so I'm there.
It was a lot of time in squad arena.
Ooh, yeah. Well, you were testing. I was mostly remodding and re-rolling datacrons where I could. But yeah, all right. For my own part, I went 2-1. I was a stone's throw away, really, from 3-0ing the week. But then I dropped a Leia mirror match, and I was not able to deal with that in the end. Good stuff there. Anyways, guys, let's talk about the meta-analysis, segment 1. First up, the question for me, actually, is about how's Night Sisters going for you guys? Either you using it on offense against Jabba or having it done against yours. What are you seeing? You know, how's it going against Attacker, long text, against Grit? For my own part, on defense, I got holds with it 2 rounds, and I did see that people attempted Night Sisters. I've set it with Attacker both times, all 3 rounds this week. Just different Attacker crons, same long text and everything, but I didn't roll with Grit. How about you guys? What'd you guys see? Floor's open.
I'm trying to double check my defense just to confirm, but I want to say that I didn't fight too many what I would call like proper Jabbas. Yeah, so I fought like a S57, I fought a tank cron. I wouldn't really say I had like what I would consider to be the optimal Jabba to contest Night Sisters.
And what would you say that is? I'm sure folks will want to know.
Let's say both attacker cron or something like that. I've heard that support cron can be a little bit horrible as well with the reduced tenacity on Marin. But still, fundamentally, the thing that scares me the most is just, getting the crap pummeled out of me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. How about the rest of you? Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
No. It's been fine for me, but I wouldn't really say I've been fully tested. It continues to be.
You pulled it off though on attack, but you're just saying it wasn't anything that you felt was really going to test you.
It was a Jabba team with a Hank level 6, so not really.
And not Grit or Grit?
No, like literally tank wards.
Yeah. Okay.
And the bigger threat, you would say, than Fatal for Night Sisters would be that attacker con with, I guess, to the stats, which can be pretty impactful in set 16, is that like special damage, like is something where you get sort of the RNG of where Bausch focuses. And is that a bigger risk than, for example, a high defense cron?
Well, Plague ignores defense, so if you're going the defense angle, you really need to pair it with high tenacity to try to contest them on that level. It's this series of moving parts, right? You have Niceses who are trying to play for tenacity and trying to play for Marin bulk, but they're forced to walk this tightrope of, well, I don't want too much bulk, otherwise my people won't die, but then I need enough bulk if you pressure me. Like, as successful as Niceses have been, I do think the Jabba team can hold a good amount of leverage if you're active and engaged and thinking about it. But you really need to, right? If you're thinking about tenacity and grit, you need to be thinking about defense and vice versa. If you're thinking about potency, then maybe you're also considering the damage angle as well, because instead of slowing them down, you're trying to stop them, before it starts.
Yep, makes sense.
The one exception for me this week, sorry, I'm going a little bit long. The one exception for me this week is that I started undersizing. Like I did, against the tank words, I did the 3v5 with just Tals and Marin Visage.
It's crazy. It's awesome too. Yeah, but that's what the Relic 9's for. I like it.
The matchup dynamics the exact same, right? It is just 2 extra people that you're plaguing, and so yeah.
I just want to comment that watching Fatal, and you should go watch Fatal when he does it. That's a bad bitch. That Marin, his Relic 9 Marin is not your average Marin. And you can see where it's like your Marin, it's like, oh, my Marin can do that. No. Don't come off thinking like your Marin is Fatal's Marin. Fatal's Marin is a bad bitch. That girl walks around the street at night and doesn't care. You're not taking her money.
I didn't really connect the dots until just now when you all said it, but the past couple of weeks I've been kind of conservative on, yes, R9 Marin is a luxury. Yes, it's more so just insurance. But maybe this is the angle for letting it be more proactive, is it lets you take more risks like an undersize to gain, right?
Yes.
Extra Marin investment to gain points back is a direct...
Dude, your Marin is badass. I'm sorry. I watched the fight, and I watched her take a pummeling. And she walked away, and then Fatal says, yeah, this is what it looks like for R9 Marin. And I'm like, dude, my Marin would not be looking like this. She still had, like, health, and she still had stuff. And it's like, she just, like, kind of brushed it off her shoulders like it was nothing.
I'm just over here like that meme where it's like, you guys use Night Sisters?
Yeah.
They're like my 25th best team. I just don't really use them anywhere unless I see, like, a dash team.
Oh, I can actually see that 4-panel meme in my head. It's like,
yes,
I use Night Sisters with 5 characters and zombie. I use Night characters with 5 characters and no zombie. I use Night Sisters with 3 characters. You guys use Night Sisters?
Yeah, exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me over here in the corner. Like, you guys use Night... Also, nobody Night Sisters my Jabba this week, it doesn't look like, so...
I wanted to mention, I saw that Dark Hug use Jabba against my Queen team this week. I'm still running set 15 Padawan Obi-Wan Kron, but I was impressed that he did that. I mean, and against a player like me where I like using Afra, or against Fatal who likes using Night Sisters, people might be looking at our history and deciding not to, save or set their Jabba. So how to apply them on offense? That looks pretty good. Like something that gobbles up Queen is premium right now. I don't know if you guys.
I did it in 3v3. What stats does your POW Datacron have? If you recall,
light on offense and heavy on armor penetration. Not set up as well as like Sasha's, which is high offense, right?
Well, I mean, obviously, yes. Right. But so Jabba already kind of worked well in 3v3, just being able to pop POW, but your Datacron stats also directly contributed to it with the armor pen and potentially crit damage, increasing detonator damage.
Yeah. Well, what would be the right offensive stat profile to have on that set 15 Crown? Obviously, nobody's going to change it at this point, but, just talking out loud. What should it have been?
Does an offense
if we're talking
anti-Jabba, then
Sorry.
If we're talking anti-Jabba, then offense is like the safe bet. But
okay, and it was the best way to make the use of the Padawan Obi-Wan level 9. So, all right, fair, yeah.
The thing to note, I would say, is Jabba's detonator throw. I didn't know this, but it seems like it can't be evaded. And so, I tried Jabba versus Amidala a lot in 3v3, and at first I was like, oh, this is screwed because Pow has foresight, and so I played around the assumption that I couldn't just directly drop it on Pow, and then it was even working against teams that had GRDR 75%. Because Pow's counterattacks with the Powercron drops him below turn meter. That it all just lines up. It's actually a fairly intuitive matchup if you just take that leap of faith against the foresight.
Okay. That's great to know. Thanks. I might be thinking about that myself, because I know a lot of people are going to know how to fight Jabba against me this week. All right. That's pretty much it on Jabba. Darth Bane is my next question here. How did you guys use him this week? I struggled, right? So I tried a Bane Talon, and I think I mismanaged it. Interesting fight. It isn't like the one I wanted to highlight this week, but it's worth mentioning that the idea behind having the Relic 9 Talon was I'm opening up with Bane's third, and then they were supposed to focus down Bane, and then reward me for having Talon. Instead, they focused down Talon, and then I got my next turn with Bane. And I used third again because I was already under half health. Full protection, but they're hitting under protection. And so, yeah, heal back up and stack my max health further was the right idea at the time. But as folks in the YouTube video comment mentioned, the high health steal on his middle, paired with how much damage it would have done dispelling 1 billion buffs, might have been a better way to go. May have ended the fight right there. So I didn't really have the right opportunity to do that again later this week, but that was one nuanced lesson I learned about Bane. Anything from you guys?
I'll say for me, mine did exactly what I thought it was going to do. I took the preface of what we talked about all last season during threes when I found that setup for Darth Vader. Took Darth Vader into fives, took the same protocol and steps, and it worked each time. Again, 2 out of 3, but each time I did it against a step 15, it was just fine. I proc the setup, I go in on Pow, I make him basic to kill my Darth Vader, I finish the fight.
And what is that next attack that you're doing after your Darth Vader dies?
What is the next attack? You mean, when it's set up when I'm in the rule of 2 now?
Yeah, now it's Bane's turn. He's kicked off. He's got his cooldowns back.
It's cooldown and reduction into the middle.
Okay, you do third. Okay.
Yep. I stop you from doing that bullshit because if I leave your Pow... So what happened is, and I recorded it, the other one went like normal. The second fight, everybody but Pow was dead. So it was a fight between Pow and Bane. And so I'm watching my fight like, this could be pretty bad.
Yeah.
But it still worked out. Like I said, it just the cooldown reduction, and then it's basically into massacre. Start working your way around the fight. They kill Darth Vader. You kill the rest of the team. You win. The other one, Pow was left alive, but again, still cooldown reduction to stop him. He's gonna buff himself up, and then you're gonna poof, and there he went. And it's still done okay.
All right, I will. I might give that a go here this week. We'll see. Although I didn't really miss having Talon. With my Treya, I was able to take on Saws in 2 rounds without issue. With the support cron and a couple different comps with and without Drogon, all that. So that was cool to see. That I wasn't necessarily punished for that flexibility. But any comments from the rest of you guys? Any interesting uses with Bane? Anything else you wanted to say there?
I mean, mine was a pretty low value use, to be honest, but it was one where it came in handy. It was like one of the last squads on the board that I needed to clear. It was a Qui-Gon Jinn team, normally not particularly scary. Certainly hasn't been for Bane of late, but with a nice R9 Barris on it with a Barris Cron that had like good defense and health. So I wasn't able to use my one of my favorites. It's quite cheesy, but is to use the dash like Vandor, young Lando. but it's really hard to be able to ramp that squad up to take out an R9 Barris with the Barris Cron. And Bane, obviously, does that pretty smoothly. So it was useful, but not punching high by any means.
Okay.
That also mirrors my experience. When JMK, when he's not able to beat JMK, really, I don't really need him for anything else. So it's just kind of like, where do I want to use him? He's just kind of like utility.
Yeah, I did
I don't know
see
if that makes
Bane
sense,
against full bird JMK later this week.
I tried and lost.
Ooh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it turns out that if nobody dies fast enough, Kat just gets to decide whether she wants to look at Bane or look at C, and if she looks at Bane, you lose. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
it.
you know what? You know why I won then? Because I thought that might happen to me, and honest to God, I did a cooldown pull ahead of my attempt on it.
See, that's what I should have done.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that at the time. But yeah, and I don't want to say Bane is bad. 'Cause Bane is still excellent, whatever, super efficient, super cheap. But I'm finding less uses for him this season than I have in previous. Like, obviously, his Kron propped him up super hard, but yeah, just kind of finding less places to use him.
Realistically, I think that's a good thing, in my opinion. Those are the auto win is great, but I think we all talked about it. Like it's great when he has certain case scenarios, not all case scenarios. And I think Fatal said it before at one point. It's like it's nice to have it, and it's I agree with every couple months, but there needs to be a threshold, right? It can't be this is the answer to everything. So, and Dagger, I know you were one who talked about that too. It's cool, but there gets to be a point where it's like we don't want it to keep doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I haven't looked at the data, but I'm sure he still handles Ray and most Leia comps pretty well.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, it would have been an interesting option for me to have had there for that Leia last week. All right, well, next team, guys. One of the things.
Also, really quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
Have you moved back to the health modding on Leia yet?
On Leia, like full health?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
You'll win more mirrors that way.
Yeah, I remember that being largely the case before. I'll think about it. It'll take a lot of tear up to do at this point. We'll see. I'll take it under advisement, though. All right, next team. A couple of the novel counters that have come up here for this season. So the Sortie Nuke team. All right, now I have... I think I've done a reasonable job of preparing myself to use it this week, but I have no experience with it. I know some of you guys have had experience either doing it or having it pulled off against you. What do you guys got to say about this counter?
I'll be a little brief on it, but yeah, I tried it a couple times this week because it's supposed to be good against Queen Amidala, and it turns out you need a specific turn order. You need T3 to go before your air quotes nuke goes, and I did not have that set up for last week, but I do have it set up for next week.
Hey, I know that guy.
I know you were talking about it, TJ. I had to pull it up on screen just so people who hadn't otherwise heard of this can believe it's actually real. It's out there.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yes. But there are things that was given. One, it still can fail. Nothing is a guarantee. Worth the risk of doing. Turn order is important. And I think that was a good call out from what is being said. So there were certain things that need to be in play for this to work. It's not just it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see in my history test, if you want to go look at my week 1 and 2 history, round 1 and 2 history. Yeah, I tried it, and it did not work when it wasn't clocked.
Yeah, I see. You were brave. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. Well, it's good that you can make use of Dark Trooper, like in some high, meaningful sense these days. That's fun.
I will say Yama has always been a big guy for the nuke, though. That dude beat me before on it when it was back in style on defense. So for Yama, I know his is locked in correctly, to be fair. That dude has been on the nuke train. So it's cool to see it back in action, and I completely forgot about it. But yeah, there are certain rules to the game on that. You don't get to just walk in with the team and it's like, yeah, it does it all. As you can see, there are polar opposites when not doing the correct thing.
Yeah, 28 seconds of hell right there.
Also worth mentioning, if you're trying to mod this team, remember the BB-8 gives out turn meter with his wiggle. So you need to, make sure that you adjust for that.
Fair enough.
Because if he gives turn meter to Dark and jumps him in front of T3, then your shit doesn't work.
All right. Any other thoughts from you guys about this one? All right. Next team is Rolo. Oh, no, sorry, Sasha. I saw you were about to light up.
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Maybe I misread somebody else's mute icon coming off. But anyway.
Oh, that was me coming off because you were talking about the Rolo.
You bastard. All right. That's fine. Next team, though, is the Rolo team. So this is another one that I think I've got myself prepared to use for this week. Didn't try it last week. Didn't see somebody do it last week. What do you guys got to say about this one? Who is it even for?
So I used it on Leia.
Ooh.
Here's the big note, and it's in my history. So this is where we can talk
Let's
about
go
things.
take a look.
Here's the cool thing. I did not set anything up for this. It just walked in with it working. Other thing, though, it'd be round 2 on attack against the Leia with the grip. Yep.
There it is.
Well, there's a couple things I want to note. What you don't see is cracks. The one big thing that was coming out was cracks was a big tool, and that was like, well, I don't have cracks. And it was brought forth to me that Zeb can work here. And as Dagger knows, and we've had our long discussions, I am a Zeb truther.
This is one of his fetches. He keeps trying to make fetch happen. Yeah.
But it does work. Mm-hmm. This is the key thing, that was right. And what was cool is that there isn't anything special about the team. I think for mine, obviously, Rolo Relic 6 should be 7. But the Zeb being lined up and everything, it was nice, and it worked pretty well.
So I don't know how much you can say about anything to do with turn order or anything like that, but at least can you say what are the essential members of this team? Like Zeb is nice because you're surprised that he can bring value because you said other people are running Krex in his stead. Are the other 4 characters a lot? I mean, obviously Rolo, but CLS, Sana, Cassian, all required to make this tick?
I believe it's Sana who's... I didn't really get a lot of details about the stuff like that, so it's not like that I can't say. Mm-hmm. It's just everything I've seen for common details is if you look, Cassian is a great support, so that's going to play into play there. Sana does her thing, and that's been talked about. I know it's on Fatal server. It was a lot of its Krex was a lot of key places that it works.
Well, specifically, Krex is necessary versus Jabba, not Leia. Leia has far less reactivity than Jabba does.
And that's why it was brought to attention that it can work is with that setup, which is why I can talk about it because it's like in the history.
So I was going to ask, I mean, so maybe there's a lower threshold for what you need to take on this team if you're going against Leia. But I guess I was also going to ask, like, this is with Drogon R2. I fought a comp this week that was, they had Drogon parted out to the Saw team, right? So it was Leia, Han, Chewie, Nest, and Sabine with the Sabine Kron. Do you think this would work as well against that kind of upfront?
No, Sabine Kron locks this and
yes, and GG. So everything you're going to try to do is gone with those with Sabine, specifically Sabine.
GG can still work. For the record, GG can still work.
From what I saw, I wouldn't even put it out there that it can. Just be careful.
All right, fair enough. No, yeah. So if you are going to set Leia this week, I feel like it has to be with the Sabine Kron. Otherwise, you're going to get the team just lacks reactivity, so you're just going to get mopped by these cheesy Kron teams.
Right.
And to be clear, on this Rolo team, Sana is the critical piece, and then you want a couple of supports and a turn meter engine. So however you decide to divvy that out, right? Like Krex or Chupio are good as utility piece. It just depends on what you're fighting. Krex is mostly necessary versus Jabba, and Chupio gives you a certain security blanket with the blind and all that. But yeah, this team it just relies off mechanics. I know Fatal talked about
this. All right, fair. Any other comments on this one, guys? Any other applications, caveats?
I don't think it's actually technically based on a bug. Like, it works as it's written. It's just...
Yep.
I mean, there has been a secret war happening within my server of... I did not report Sana for the longest time, whereas Visas Kron got reported almost within, a couple of hours of me finding it. And so Visas Kron is fixed, but on the same day that Visa's Crown got fixed and we didn't know it was coming, I had actually already reported Sana. So
Okay.
It's a proxy war, apparently.
I'll say, but the nice thing is, like I said, if Sabina's on there, it's not going to work. There are certain thresholds that it has to meet. It's not like it kills everything. So I think what I would say to Fatal's point is, it's like there is a threshold where this stops. And if you don't set the right thing,
directly in conversation with it, but keep in mind that Sana is 18. That will always work. It's not cron dependent, pretty much.
Right.
And so at the moment set 16 goes, that team will still be kind
But
of
is this matchup that, these matchups that are currently enabled this season are made possible not only through the composition and the modding, it is the cron, right? Like if set 16 were not here, this wouldn't be doable the same way?
Rolo will auto basic infinite always.
The question comes is, do you have enough damage to win the fight in 5 minutes? And I think these crons allow you to win in less than 5 minutes. Right, it's the same reason Mon Mothma's been good for a long time, but it just takes fucking forever to kill things.
All right. Well, thank you for explaining that, guys. Because I knew very little about that team going into this week.
Yeah, Fatal knows way more about this team than I do. So I would defer to him on pretty much everything related to it.
Well, I guess it's fitting to ask then, finishing out this meta section, any applications of these set 16 crons, either on your defense, where you're fighting enemies, their defenses, any set 16 crons that disrupted your expectations for, regular counters? Did something that always worked, just completely fail, or was it smoother than ever for some reason? What stood out?
To the jerk off in my third round who modded his boost for full tenacity, I hate you, and also it worked.
Okay. It blocked your sisters?
No, she just resisted Afra.
Ooh, yeah. That is helpful. I would say that is a helpful thing to do.
Yeah. No, and that was a support cron too, so Jabba's debuffs and thermals were just kind of, terrible. I think the support cron might be good again. Is pretty good against Afra specifically. Just the passive damage.
Okay, fair enough. How about you?
Yeah, set 16. I mean, we've talked about there are just a lot of interesting things that it does, and one that I'll call out. I didn't get to see it in action, but I just loved it conceptually. Was actually putting a support cron on a Malgus squad. With BSF, DR, and then I think what juices it is Sith Assassin. And because you need the attackers that are going to make use of that ramping crit damage. But so I set it on D. It got one attempt against it. Got a full back out against an Afra squad. So I just, there are tons of other examples. That happens to be a fun one. And the fact that you can couple like a support level 6 with a dark side tank revive level 3 in this set makes it like all the more fun to play around with like a multi, R9 tank squad that has like a debuff heavy support and a couple of attackers. So that was fun.
But did it enable any different matchups or easier matchups, new matchups, something? That's what I'm most curious about. I didn't think about the support setup, really, because I enjoyed having the tank revive. I had a couple Malgus matchups versus DTMGs this week in which Malik actually got popped. So him coming right back was nice. That is,
yeah.
I mean, it's
an
interesting
both,
point.
Right? Like, I mean, the guy's the level 3s. Yeah, so you get both. In terms... with the support cron, which my opponent used for Afra, I would have expected like a non-ramping Sith Empire Malgus squad to eventually bleed out against that Afra squad. So I don't know. I didn't get to see it. This is all sort of just happiness in my head. But I like to. And my headcanon is that it held better than it otherwise would have.
Okay. Well, how about the resties? TJ, Fatal, any other set 16 matchups that stood out to you as being different, changed, noteworthy, worse, better? Yeah.
Mine's more attack. And mine is just Sabine. Basically, gun getting solved, in my opinion. Everybody's complaining about it not working. I've watched the variations, and Sabine Kron with BKM, I feel like I've solved my problem for Gungan. So if you set it on me,
So
I'm coming for you.
You roll BKM, Paz, Grogu, Sabine, and who?
I did BAM, and it's just BAM
okay.
because I want it. Essentially, I'm trying to protect my IG. IG really keeps everything flowing for your team, and that's really all it's going to be there for. But it's nice having that setup that if they start messing with your IG, you've got a savior on there. Other than that, BKM takes care of herself. But I will tell you, I've watched the horror stories of the fight, and I'm not giving away all the sauce when it comes to this, but there's certain variations why I've watched so many people fail that they're not paying attention to. That there's I want to probably say there might be another bug or another interaction that's unintended, but I'm able to smash right through the Gungan team, no problem, with BKM, with Sabine.
And that's whether it's Jar Jar or Nascron level.
Dude, I hope you put on Boss Nas.
Yeah.
Plotting and scheming, the Jar Jar one is so much harder. If you do this Boss Nas and you do it, Sabine, and Fatal has been a long proponent and told you, it's already going to work as it is. I had her, and I recorded the fight, I had her go through, pop it, get it reset, because it's the double attack, killed it again in like 2 turns or 3 turns or something like that, and that was gone. The Jar Jar is 100% the strongest setup if you're doing it. If you try to do the Boss Nass, it is so much weaker. Like, it's not even close.
Okay. All right, well, I guess that wraps up the meta-analysis. Guys, let's move to segment 2. Oh, wait. No, I think I covered... Yeah, no, I covered everything I wanted to do that. So, yeah, segment 2. Best attack and defense of the week. Back around to you, Dagger. What do you want to highlight? Your favorite attack and your favorite performing defense of the week.
Well, week 3, my opponent got space jammed on Got space jammed. And he threw everything at Gungans, and it was kind of amusing.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, no, he did get space jammed. Like, no, halt. You will go no further.
And then also in that same fight, I didn't check the cron. It turns out it was the Boss Nash cron. But yeah, I got JML to work. Although you can see how many people were alive at the end.
Yeah. Just JML and Jedi Cal.
Yeah, that shit was really dicey.
What did you do here, cron-wise? So the 3 was negligible. You went because of the high protection, 75%, attacker level 6. Okay, I respect that. Glad
I'm sure there's a better. So I was told afterwards that, I don't even know, that I should have used Kyle Katarn because he hits twice on basic. Or use Ezra.
Yeah.
And that would have helped me chew through it faster. So afterwards I found out that there are better things I could have done because like Ezra and Kyle both attack twice on basic. So drop JKL for one of those 2 next time if I want to do this.
Okay.
Because the problem was it took me too long to get through the shield because it respawned. And their AoE damage killed JKR first, which is always problematic with Savior.
Oh, geez, yeah. Fatal, didn't I see you using the JML Xeris Cron? Who was that for? How did that go? I had to turn away when you're doing that fight, and then when I came back, you were obviously done with it. But I know you were trying to test what that does this season.
No, it was just another run back of what I was doing in 3v3. I did JML Barras against Palcron in 5v5, and...
Okay, yeah.
I want to say it went... I mean, let me double check to confirm, but I don't recall it going poorly. It was...
Wow. Yeah, that's really
cozy.
Cool. That's a great matchup.
Oh, dude, actually, no, this was... the matchup kind of came to life this season. I think it might have been... I'm trying to find it in my match history as I talk. But I want to say it was a set 16 Amidala, and they just kept on landing debuffs. And there's a really cool dynamic that started happening where... Okay, no, it was a Palcron. But with all the debuffs, you know, like you're getting debuffed for attacking at a turn with the damage over time and all that. The thing that I realized is Barris is actually the carry of that fight. And the reason for that being... if you have Cal Riposte and you're just constantly calling him to assist, he's never taking turns. So what that means is you can quite literally just park him in Riposte And Barris has her passive where when she cleanses debuffs, she gets turn meter. And so I was taking like 6 or 7 consecutive Barris turns and just like boom riposte, boom riposte, boom riposte.
Okay.
That was fun in itself to discover. Is like, wait, this matchup is actually just like, yes, Barris Crown is keeping me alive, but Barris's base kit is actually just like flourishing here, right? I mean, you think back in the day of like certain like Darth Vader versus Rey, where sometimes Barris would just like insta cleanse the team and like loop 5 turns consecutively.
And I'm sorry, Fatal,
Yeah.
I had to pause the VOD there for a sec, but you were saying here about JML, something about how Xeris' kit does so much?
No, it's that she's this sort of self-sustaining machine where she just has the matchup solved. She just keeps on causing debuffs to be made, which fuels her to go even more. And then what was really kind of a treat, because I've actually thought about this recently. There's a variety of tech, and like my primary Jedi Knight Cal playstyle is actually to be very cross-guard centric. But usually when playing JML, especially if you've got like riposte plus potency, or not potency crons, protection crons, matches kind of just tend to end too quickly for crossguard to really matter, especially if you're fighting another GL. Crossguard literally does not do damage to GLs. And so JML against Amidala here, right? JML is kind of within budget, you know, depending on how you feel about GL versus non-GL. But it was this nice moment of like, okay, once Pow's dead, once I've nuked Amidala, riposte wasn't going to get done anymore. Okay, switch to crossguard, and then again, like you're cutting through like butter, and just it really was just kind of like a joy to drive, just a fun matchup to play.
And do you have enough experience with this to say, you know, oh yeah, it's going to play the same against C-3PO or Cam in here?
I would say that we're pretty much safe against either.
Okay.
I'm only really concerned about like set 16, but if you're worried about set 16, you can just directly like start. Well, I guess the one interesting thing is if you're worried about set 16, I was going to say you could just mod JML for crit avoidance, but then Barris isn't working. But then it's not Palcron. I think things get real weird when I go down this line. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it before.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure you'll be using it more this season, so we'll definitely be sure to follow up with you about the journey. Okay. So I'm sorry. We covered Dagger's favorite attack and defense, and I just completely took us off course. That's my bad. TJ, how about you? Your favorite attack and defense of the week?
My entire round 2.
Dig it. What do you want to talk about in particular?
Just go to defense.
Sure.
So Tash, remember that team?
Yes.
That, you know. So Tash, go down and watch the Reds on that team. Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, that was beautiful.
Sadness.
And then you get to be clean. So there was okay. And then you know when Dagger talked about Gungans, if you could just go down to my Gungan fight and we'll say hold my beer.
Ooh.
And no, just watch. Watch the teams they get
Oh, jeez. Okay, so the guy attempted Reva first and ate it.
And that's a retreat. That's
Yep. 1 minute in, he was like, nah, I don't think I will. All right, then went in with Bane Sass, it looks like, which was a thing last season when you could lean on that set 14 Kron.
But you notice that's a loss?
Yeah, that was a blowout after 2 minutes. So he was alive for a while. He was trying to make it work. It did not pan out there. He got overwhelmed in a burst at the end or something.
Yep, let's continue our story.
Went in with full bore Treya, you know, all the applicable Omicrons. After almost 2 minutes, retreated. BKM with Sabine, although it was the set 15 Kron, not Sabine set 16. Nevertheless, 2 minutes, 20 seconds withdraw. Lord Vader, God. All right, but he didn't have Maul, so, oh my God, he had Lord Vader. He split up Lord Vader and Maul into 2 separate teams, thinking if he had to. But this is just him. Oh my God, this isn't even against Gungans anymore. He crashed out on DTMG with Lord Vader.
My round 2, dude, was such a good time. It's like, it just goes down. It just starts, and it doesn't end.
Dude,
Queen Amidala,
this is gross.
And Gungans.
I see why you said the whole round, because it turns into a god-awful mess after this point.
it's like your ships that caught on you. It's like, I'm gonna try this, dude. It's like I saw how consecutive he was. I did a little studying. I'm like, you know what? I'm setting this, and it's like 3 holes.
Oh,
that's right. And I kept Leviathan for attack all 3 rounds this week because that experience scarred me so much. Where I just had to sit there and watch it happen to me. It's like that will not be happening again for the foreseeable future.
I watched my streamer, and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try this, dude. And I set it, and he went top first, and then got to my ships, and then just ate shit, and then went to my bottom and decided we're gonna do it, and I just watched, and it was just like hold. I'm like, oh man, you are.
So TJ, what you're saying is he went to your bottom and then ate shit.
Yeah, he took it from the top, and he took it pretty strong, but he went to the bottom and then ate the D. Yes.
Okay, good. Your favorite attack of the week?
Honestly, we've talked about it pretty good, man. That Rolo was cool as shit.
Just the Rolo. Okay, I respect that.
And then honestly, seeing the fail rates on the Gungans, and then me feeling like I have it pretty well solved, it felt pretty good.
All right. Sasha Aisha. Say the full name, Tassinix. Get used to saying it. All right. So, how about you? Your favorite attack and defense?
On offense, this wasn't novel, but it was nice to see it sort of at the top of its game. I faced a Riva with Ninth Sister, all R9 comp with a really strong set 15 Ninth Sister DC, and it was just, perhaps cheesy, but a nice, smooth Phoenix with GBA. I don't even know that I needed the Sabine DC there. It was nice to have an attacker level 6, but there was like no reactivity involved. It was all
we have time.
All activity. So that was fun. On defense, I'll just go back to that Malgus squad. I thought that was fun with the level 6 support. There were a few other things that I tried that I was curious to see what kind of counter they would pull, but they weren't attacked. The opponent did not end up going that far. So some stuff, hopefully, that I'll see how it looks next week. But those were the ones for this week.
Yeah, wow, this guy had brought a pretty strong Afra team against you. A lot of Relic 9 hardware on this team, and nevertheless, 59 seconds, and he withdrew. That is a good one.
Yeah, and Malgus has some kind of inherent challenges there with, Afra has inherent challenges with the debuffs that she creates and, the regen that provides for a Malgus squad, but I still would have figured that jacked up of an Afra squad would have
eventually
done more
cut
damage.
Through.
So.
Yeah.
Historically, Afra hasn't worked versus Malgus outside of her Kron.
Out of specifically the Dr. Afra level 9. Yeah.
The Afracron got it done. It's just this had so much ramping, but again, ramping that's still crit dependent too. And there's regen. I think it was B2. I can't recall. Task, you've got it up there.
No, I'm sorry. I had it up. Let me go back down here. Afra BT1 000 B2 Darth Vader.
Yeah, I probably would have taken IPD so you could target whoever you wanted with BT1. I really like IPD on this team because you can remove all their taunt and give them buff immunity, and then you can target whoever you want. And that has been super clutch with that plus Darth Vader's debuffs ramping you. I'm not saying that would have changed this fight. I'm just saying I get why you use B2 for the reactivity, but with all the doubt that the Malgus team throws around, I feel like the reactive Terminator of B2 is kind of wasted.
Very good. All right, Fatal. How about you? Your favorite attack and defense of the week? Where am I going?
Again, I'm kind of... It was just a very timid, uninteresting week on the GAC board front. I have more to say in other categories. Yeah, I undersized some Night Sister stuff. I did,
which is dope
against Paw, but I don't think that's... right, it's... Hey... I'm going to make infinite crit damage. Hey, you're not critting. It's not really, noteworthy to me at this point. It's kind of just,
Sure.
played out and confirmed as if a team has crit avoidance, and you can be crit avoidance, a lot of teams just kind of tend to crumble and not really hold up to whatever people were looking forward to.
Fair enough. So all the attacks more or less went to script, not too interesting. Any of your defenses you were pleased with, though? Did something stand out and maybe overperform?
I'm doing a re-scroll, but honestly, it was
Could be a pretty ordinary week. I don't know. I wouldn't be doing my job if I weren't asking. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the quantities on my defense are kind of known, which is why I was spending so much energy on week 2, is because I'm kind of not doing a full shift on my strategy, but I kind of came to a realization last week, which is like, I'm kind of just going to start choosing violence and do things that maybe aren't necessarily good, but are inherently hostile. And so and teams in the works that I'm like, will be on the board this week, but I don't know if they're perfect this week. But
I'm sorry, you cut out for a split second. Who's on the board this week?
I'm working on, I would say, 3, possibly 4 puzzle box teams.
Yeah. All right. We will watch your career with great interest.
I cannot promise it will be good, but I can promise that it will be at least annoying if you're not like actively thinking about it.
Okay. All right. For my own part,
EG gave Fatal a bunch of piping and some gunpowder and a fuse, and so we all get to see what he's assembling for the week. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So don't be surprised when you see Fatal dropping tarpals for Malik. Stop those Terminator teams.
So I had an opponent. So for my favorite attack, I guess there's probably 2, but this one is interesting. So I had an opponent who knows that I lost to that Leviathan composition I mentioned before. So that was B28 SAS Dagger, and I fighting it with Chimera in the past. And I've beat it for like 73 on one attempt, and the very next attempt, I had to just sit there and bear witness as I was lapped into non-existence. And so I told myself, they ain't going to get me like that. And so I brought Leviathan to make sure I was cool. But then he set this. It's Fury, Dagger, and Sass. It's like, how best to deal with this? Well, I could do the regular triple attacker and make sure I get my tenacity up and roll the dice from there. But I decided to check the history from last 3v3 to see if anybody had done this recently. And lo and behold, folks been doing Negotiator with JK and Snips. I gotta tell you, I know I saw people taking 1 reinforcement. Some were taking Plo, some were taking Y-Wing. I wasn't in the position where that was going to matter too much, so I took both. I can safely tell you I needed exactly neither. And yeah, this, I don't think I actually ended up calling either one in. But this was really great. It was 74 banners. How often do you get to say that? And then...
Yeah, don't be setting that comp. That comp sucked.
Well, and I understood why he said it, because, he knew that I was seeing... If it's the regular fight, I can Chimera it. If it's this horror show that I just mentioned, then I'm not going to Chimera it, and he knows I've got Leviathan for it because I had it rounds 1 and 2, and I talked about that. So yeah, I mean he was ready for me.
For the record, I fought that exact comp, and Chimera just smashed it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Without B28 there, there's no way to impede me from just like knocking your ships off.
I didn't really sort down the data too far to get down to Kyber 1 and stuff like that, but when I did check the Chimera win rates, it was something like 37%. So I don't know. That might have been something I needed to filter out more, but that's why when I looked at the data, I was like, yeah, I don't think I will.
I'm super nervous of the B28 SAS and Dagger up front. That one scares me with Chimera.
Yeah,
when it's Fury, it doesn't scare me at all.
Okay. You know what? As far as attack of the week, I knew it. I was thinking, why can't I think about the attack that went well that I wanted to highlight? It's because there wasn't one. I wanted to talk about a particular failure. This one in round 2. So this was Leia against Rey. I did this in round 1 against this exact same comp and won using the exact same comp and setup. So this is Leia Drogonar 2, Old Ben, and Stormtrooper Han. Stormtrooper Han, level 9, set 16 Kron. long text tank, level 6, and buffs up level 3, right? Now, it's defense with protection. Be better for the team if it were health, but that isn't why it failed. It failed because I got jammed on fucking Nest. And why did I get jammed on Nest? Stormtrooper Han's turn meter removal. So, it didn't jam me up in the first fight because I think I just smacked her with Leia while she didn't have prod up or something and just kind of one-shot her. Something like that. Whereas this situation, Nest was the last character. Like, I killed Nest earlier in the fight on that first successful attempt. On this one that failed, Nest was the last character, and I think that's what did me in. Sorry, you were going to say.
He only TMRs on his own taunt, so the taunt reapplication from the Datacron shouldn't remove turn meter.
Okay, well, I was pretty Scrooged regardless, and yeah.
The thing means you didn't counterattack him, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a good time. I mean, if I had to do this again, I'd just try to remember, like how it went in the first fight. I did address Nest earlier in the fight. It wasn't, Nest is the last character. So, that's it for me. All right, guys, very important segment here to cover this week. So, Conquest is over, and all of us who've made the expenditure to have Enoch available, both characters are now live for week 2. I know we talked about it in the preview episode for this season on Plotting and Scheming, but I want to know, how did our feelings possibly change on how we mod these characters? I'll pull mine up on screen real quick. Imperial Remnants. So my Enoch, I put in a speed and defense set. I saw a lot of speed health, but I was less taxing for me to do it with defense, and then with his natural synergy for defense, I figured probably not a terrible move. Seen people have him around like 330, 340. I'm a little faster, around 344. Over 100,000 health. He's just naturally just about over 100% potency, and then 70% armor. How about you guys? How you guys prepared your Enoch? And then we'll talk about Luthen after.
I'll let you know week 3.
Okay, yeah. So you didn't put in the little bit extra crystals to have him for week 2. That is a reasonable thing to do. How about the rest of you? All right, I see Fatal just posted his in the chat. I'll drag him on screen if you got comments on him.
It's kind of related to the broader thing I said last week, and then me continuing to only feel more strongly about it.
So the speed, not terribly relevant. You just went whole hog on defense and prot. You went the prot direction. Speak on that, please.
I think the team sucks. I plan to use him at other teams. Maybe with the possible exception that I do think, for the same reasons that I find him compelling at other teams, I think I will be using him under Moff Gideon, potentially. DTMG specifically.
Really?
But no, I think Enoch lead sucks. I haven't even taken the Zeta. I don't feel compelled by it at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that he does are strong and needed to find a place to be placed usefully, let's say. And, yeah, I spent a lot of time in Squad Arena with it, and that man just does not die if you do not wish him to.
Okay,
it works
and
pretty well.
You're still working on some creative applications with him as a team member?
Defensively is a work in progress. Offensively, I've got some pretty good ideas. Like, I can use...
Okay.
I can use Sith Eternal with Enoch against JMK with his Super Duper Padme Kron and have multiple people survive at this point.
Dig that.
So, the moment Set 15 expires, it's not going to be pretty.
That unique is so powerful.
It is.
It feels like that's exactly where I was going. Is I wonder if that is going to get some after the fact kind of, faction specific change in wording there.
I reported
because
it
that 450%. Yeah,
I reported it. I have no idea if it's going to change, but I'm going to ride down the rabbit hole until it ends. And so, yeah, I gave him some of my best bulk mods, and I gave him Relic 9. And I said, come and take them.
It's pretty neat because even if somebody had the thought to try and just bully through all that and kill him, okay, DTMG just brings him back.
I think his unique gets doubly messed up when you remember that Demoralize exists. because so even whether we're talking about under DTMG or in a team like Sith Eternal, yes, you're making the team crit immune, but you can run Enoch plus OG Gideon as a 2-man anchor that says you cannot crit me. You have like half of your offense. You have minus 25% crit chance and crit damage or whatever it is, and like essentially what Enoch represents at the moment, assuming he doesn't get changed, is he is a Datacron modifier that occupies a team slot. He is the ability to run a second Datacron.
Okay, that's
And
cool.
so-
I was really thinking about using him as a lead, but this off the beaten trail use is actually really interesting.
I welcome anyone to go check the VOD of me just dicking around with them in Squad Arena and playing against it. Full disclosure, I was using my ult, which is like not totally ignored, but pretty much. So like the Grievous fight wasn't like set 16 crazy Kron. It was just like some set 15 level 3 bulk Kron. But that regardless, I was specifically playing GG Newt and not GG Stap because the account doesn't have Stap. But the thing that I noticed after about 90 seconds consecutively of wailing on Enoch and going nowhere, I realized that Newt was the only thing actually like kind of chipping him out, because Newt's unique is 5% health damage.
Right.
And Grievous, on the other hand, for all of his stacking, was only doing like 1,000 damage per hit to Enoch, whereas Newt and his unique was like 3,000 per debuff.
So is this why you decided to go with prot primaries instead of health? Because I have health primaries, and I see a lot of other players are rocking health. What led you to that?
Well, if you can't kill him via damage, then your only other means are going to be either true damage or percent health, and I'm not letting you out that easy. If anything, I locked with 13k health from secondaries, and that might be a mistake. There's a chance that it should just be 0, but we'll see.
Give him the gas treatment. All right, fair enough. I see you got there. You post your Luthen mods there. We'll get to that when we talk about Luthen. But how about you guys? Aside from kind of what I showed here and what Dagger showed, what Fatal showed here, what are you guys doing? Anything different? Anything interesting?
I'm inclined to try whatever Fatal's doing, because I also don't. I think DTMG is just the better leader, just in general. So I think that this has interesting applications. And if Fatal really intrigued me when he said this plus Gideon, and then my mind immediately started being like, yeah, plus like DTP and Knight, and then you just like chill and they do enough damage. Maybe Scout plus Knight. I don't know. My brain's whirling because there's like a 6 character team. Who do you cut?
I would really just say, think of him almost akin to someone like Vandor. Enoch is a tank. He's not taunting, but he is the guy that you need to kill to open things up. Unless you're specifically operating under, you think about like, okay, Malik Drain plus Malgus Nuke, but then all of a sudden Enoch asks the question. I don't really know the answer to it, but this is why I'm kind of compelled by the Gideon question is, how does something like a Malgus versus a DTMG work when, I have to imagine that there's some degree of you're killing the side slowly, but the Sith team is still able to do damage. And so what happens when you just shut that down and their only real meaningful tools to interact are just Malgus Nuke and Drain for Malik? I don't know how that necessarily goes. It's not what I'm going to be doing with it immediately. But again, that's why I went hard on Enoch, is I think even if they make him factional, I think I still have questions that I want to see him answer.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, also interesting on Lord Vader. Sorry, Sasha, I don't mean to cut you off. I was just thinking like that duo you're talking about seems really interesting on Lord Vader as well.
Anywhere that crits concern you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that survivability is so extreme that I looked at a few different modding options for him, and it depended really on whether I was going to try his own Remnant squad, which I wasn't really thrilled about, and I'm pretty impressed with what Gideon's doing actually with the Knight brothers on it. So I thought that might be fun to keep DTMG there. And then if you look at Enoch, I was just thinking, well, he's probably just going to end up being used for his unique, and you want him to stick around, make him thick. I didn't get as far as fatal and not nearly that robust, but like some of the stuff that I was testing out was like, bounty hunters with him. Just throw him in as a fifth, and you have incredible survivability. Actually, sort of like I modded a few of my bounty hunters for defense and thickness. I have Bosk with a Bosk Kron with some good defense, and if timing permits, you're probably going to survive for up to 5 disintegrates or whatever. So that's what I was thinking is a possibility. I tried unsuccessfully a couple of attempts of Bosk, Mando, Grief, and Enoch, and then the fifth against a JMK squad of some high priority target, and it was either armor or like GMY or Thrawn, and just see if the 4, once the snipe of Cat was done, were able to get it done. They weren't quite, just because of targeting issues, but I think there may be some other options on that front. But it's just kind of fun to play with, but primarily for that unique.
That's fantastic, by the way.
I ran a Radis with 2 tanks and Enoch against the JMK.
Wow.
I timed out. I didn't lose, but
right.
It's 2 things. A, it was kind of dumb to run 2 tanks against Amidala Tauntigor. We don't have to talk about it. But B, you can't really kill them. A, because of set 15 Amidala creating a lot of extra shielding, and there's foresights and crap, but then they can't crit you, so you're not exposing them. But they can't kill you because it's Enoch, and that it's just not. They would have to like specifically advantage down Radis, which they didn't. Okay. And it just gives you that extra layer. But to what you're saying, yes, Enoch, you could just take any team. You could put it in Bo-Katan Mandalore. You could probably put that shit in Afra. It is again. It That's is this cool. Extra datacom layer of, hey, this team kind of lacks real protection.
Oh, that's cool. I wasn't even thinking about it that way. That's cool. I was really I had the same kind of gut feeling that the leadership seems kind of mediocre, but I was like, I'm going to try it. I was thinking maybe like putting it on the back wall, because since I felt it was kind of weak, like having it front wall like you do for most of your brand new shiny teams that you want to put to the opponent's test. Yes, this one felt like it was too weak to front wall, so I was thinking about pocketing it, but now that's an interesting world of possibility. That's a good share. Thanks.
Add back in.
Oh yeah. For you guys, for sure. Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't know that messed up the actual people viewing the YouTube stream.
Yeah, no, they're able to see it. It was just you guys on Discord that got interrupted. That's my bad, though. But okay, so no other real comments on how Enoch was done. Then yeah, we can go ahead and pivot to Luthen. Before we look at Fatals and Dagger setups that they wanted to share, I'll just quickly throw mine up here. Rebel, where you at, man? All right, there we go. So, yeah, I know we talked about maybe either speed or offense. I went with offense set, and I see that there is still some theory crafting being done about people going with more offense or more health skew or protection skew. I went with health, so I see that a couple folks took him to Relic 9. I haven't done that yet. So he's Relic 8, 90k health, 356 speed, 76% potency, and 11.5, just under, 11,480 special offense. So big. That means that his summon trooper is going to be, pretty fat. I guess that's mostly under Saw, but yeah.
Some of us believe that triple Omi characters deserve R9s, except for Trench and Dadbod. Those both suck.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I know when we talked about this in the last episode, I think you specifically said you weren't planning on doing that, but then you found yourself with an unexpected Relic 9 and just said, what the hell? I was thinking of having Enoch ready for this week. At 9 instead. You had to pick one, and you went with Luthen.
Yeah, basically, because like what Fatal said, his unique means you have to get through him first. So I definitely was going to take him to R8, R9 right away, especially because that DTMG team is already full R8, R9 anyways, just for its own reasons. So making sure that he wasn't...
Sorry.
Right, why would you have a random R5 on the team just to get blown up for free, right?
That's fair. All right, well, I showed my mods here. We got Fatals on screen right now, and, this is just another opportunity for me to remember that I really should spend some time farming some more defense mods, because I don't know that I could pull off one of these characters this way that he's got them set up, but two with all the defense sets and all the protection primaries, that would take some doing. Wow, look at some of those secondaries, too. Really robust stuff. What are we? 70% armor. Okay. So, Fatal, why this? Why this setup?
It's built off of this sort of theory or idea that, okay, I don't think Saul on defense is going to work out even with set 16 backing him. But if I'm going to throw my full weight behind it, I'm going to do it right. And I know that I've seen some people discuss that, like, the expendable asset, seems to be capable of doing some damage. Mm-hmm. And my first round of him had an offense set. It was basically gas mods, right?
Okay, sure.
The first set. But the thing that I noticed in testing is I wasn't really noticing the expendable asset at all. But what I was noticing was the expendable asset's tankiness, and said, okay, I didn't really have more battles to test, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to lean into that for week one. Is the theory that I have for Saul right now is we use Luthen's summon as the tank, and then we're just running attackers and supports on the main squad.
Got it, yep.
No, I don't really need the attacker to be built for offense at this point. I just need him to live for longer.
To not die. Okay. And he'll pass through this protection, this, this armor, his armor will be based on this armor, so that makes sense.
Yep, it's so Amidala is 100% of bulk and 50% of defense. Luthen is 75% of everything. That makes it a little bit
good to know. Yeah. So that's regardless of whether he has expendable asset, which only occurs under Saw lead.
Yes, it's just the unit's base transference.
Right. Yeah. So you would consider the expendable asset separately from that. All right, that's great to know. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up Dagger's modding here. Okay, we got you on screen. So you have kind of a variant of mine. You have an offense and health set. It looks like you went with more of that offense skew. 354 speed. And what did you end up at? 12,343 special offense. What are your thoughts behind this?
Yeah. Well, first, I didn't go out of my way to gut my entire roster. I told you when I was doing this, I basically stole mods from, like, Skiff Lando and a couple other characters who were lower priority on their teams for mods. Mm-hmm. Depending on how this team plays out will depend on how I fix all of their mods. Mm-hmm. But I noticed when I was dicking around with Mon Mothma that he summons the Trooper, and then Mon Mothma shares stats.
Mm-hmm. So the Trooper is a beneficiary?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, he
was doing more damage under Mon Mothma than Saw by a reasonable margin as well. So I leaned more into the offense that he shares, because under Mon Mothma specifically, with all that offense sharing, he does actually do a fair amount of damage. Now, to Fatal's point, I think if I were planning to use him with Saw, if that was my plan, I would probably have him in prot or health primaries for the same reasons, and I would end up with something closer, like Fatal said, like gas mods. Okay. But under Mon Mothma historically doesn't have enough damage to punch through. So this was all just scout and power, also overcorrected for offense. They both have prot arrows. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely remodded the team to just be stat, especially scout and power. They're just like stat sticks to share offense and such. And then I think we talked about that. I got Kyle up to 300, so he's like 340, which makes him 600. So he should outspeed most Lord Vaders.
Nice. Really nice. Yeah, I know a lot of people have aspirational plans for Mon Mothma on offense this week. Sasha Aisha, damn it, and TJ. How about you guys? Anything different from what we're looking at here on Luthen?
I can go really quick. I mean, I was sort of trying to make the decision between whether to lean a bit more towards a Saw comp, an Axis, or to do the Curator with Mothma, and ended up, I really enjoyed playing around with Luthen on a Mothma team, and just found it was tearing through tons of stuff. And so I figured for this week I would go on that front. And what I found was with a couple of different comps that I wasn't having an issue getting sufficient offense. Where I would occasionally have an issue, like for example, taking on Java squads, was just making sure that the squad was going fast enough when it doesn't have a ton of assists. Just ensuring that everybody got through, or particularly a hot rebel scout would get through 2 turns, get deadly bluff off, and be assisting. So I ended up just going like sheer speed across the squad with a good amount of like offense secondaries. But so I think I ended up with mine at like 371 or something speed. And then I jacked up speed on a bunch of the others, and I just found it was a ton of fun. It would run through Leia squads, runs through Java. It cut through. I found one JMK squad that didn't have Padme. It's a typical like arena JMK squad where it's got gas and others, and put it on auto, and it just cuts through a JMK squad in like no time. Now it's totally moot if somebody's got Padme, but otherwise it went really smooth.
Okay.
Yeah, because it turns out that ability he does when he passes the offense before the assist, and then they assist with 90% of their damage. Because it's a non-attack move. So that move there is just so much damage. Just,
All right.
And that's interesting that you noticed that, Sasha, because like I leaned into offense initially because of historical problems I've had with Mon Mothma. But yeah,
exactly.
Yes, like you said, I don't think I'll move Luthen into a speed set. I think I'd be more willing to just put everyone into these really fast offense sets, just because like if JMK is on the table, I would rather just have the offense to just rush through them. And I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't mind putting them all in plus 150 speed offense sets if that's what this is going to end up being. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't expect anybody or many people at all to set a JMK without Padme at this point. It's possible. But so, I don't know if I'll get to use that, but I was impressed with its capability.
Yeah.
The thing that pains me right now is these Ahsoka requirements. All of my Ahsokas are still a relegate. And this week I R9'd Enoch and Luthen, and
you're just
I gotta
defiant.
Tell you, like, if I'm taking Mon Mothma seriously, because right now I'm at like rec level, right? So I have like R7 Mon Mothma, R5 Rebel Scout, R5 POW, and talking about that offense share, like, if I'm taking Mon Mothma seriously, I'm even modding Mon Mothma for offense. Yeah, right? Like, the stat share really is just about critical mass of relics. Mon Mothma was one of the first teams that kicked off, and CG's been this way since, where they will give teams mechanics that just reward relics.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm kind of dying inside right now, because it's like, this Mon Mothma team, I'm sure I could try them at R5 and all that jazz, but, like, I just need to ignore Ahsoka's existence even more and just like push all these characters to relegate if I want to do what I really want to do. And it's like,
I literally did that for this week, Fatal. I took Mon Mothma, Scout, and POW all to R8 this week. I showed tasks. I'm so proud. Like you said, I got rid of my entire inventory of relics is gone. But hell, Mon Mothma team's R8.
Yeah, yes, my entire inventory of relics is past gone. This is just such a ripe time for the game right now that I look at Ahsoka coming and I'm like, can you just fucking not?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's fair.
There's so much I want to do.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Yeah, my two.
Week. Sorry, Sasha.
Yeah, my two prior to lock in. No. I mean, my relic investments prior to lock in. I had a decision to make where I was going to either take Enoch up to 9, up to do Luthen 2, or I could do a couple of R8s, and I did a Hawk Rebel and POW to R8, because there's a bunch of that splash offense that comes with the 7 to 8 for those two.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
like,
guys,
I'm not saying it's a good idea, but like, you could go R9 Mothma squad if you really. Again, stat share just leads to these lines of thought.
If you're a true believer,
she would make good use of it. You do the math and you look at this, and that's extra bulk that you could take. That you could take more hits, and you can put more in your modding and your datacron, and it is just a performance.
For those of you listening, this is what the devil on your shoulder sounds like. Yeah, 100% right.
This is also us rewarding CG's bad
behavior. It's so tempting. It's so tempting.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah. This is and then while we're on rewarding CG's bad behavior, who's ready to wail on the great mothers because they have an exclusive Datacron.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Why is my hand in the air? Oh, that happened
Yeah,
sorry.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This Mon Mothma team just, I immediately blew my whole horde because I'm rewarding CG's bad behavior of like, hey, I heard you guys wanted teams that wanted more relics. I'm like, well, not really. It's like, well, here is one. I'm like, all right, you got me. Let's do it.
It's a fun team to play, like through
Yeah.
and through. I think the tests of the team for the next month is going to be, it's two things, right? Like, if you really wish to fight teams like Ray, the question that I always had, but then like I played the fight like 3 times yesterday and just had no issue with this at all. In the past, the issue with squads like Mon Mothma against Ray, this was true ever since the day Kyle Katarn came out. It wasn't getting everyone into lock. It was being able to stop and like kill your turn meter train willfully because of the tools that the Ripper Fighters do and do not have. For whatever reason, yesterday that just wasn't a problem. Like 3 times consecutively, and it is RNG on Hawthorne Scout that I can't say for sure that it wasn't just good luck. But I think over the coming month, it's going to be the question of, can you find the matchups where, okay, I need to be able to turn it off. Can you turn it off? And then I think it's also going to be the consistency of being able to turn it on, right? One of you mentioned, okay, I outspeed Lord Vader, to which I ask, do you feel lucky?
Well, I was just saying, I actually think that the Ray question is better solved by dropping either Power Scout for something like Krex or Kara. Because Kara is interesting because she has an every other turn bomb. So as long as she's lapping them, she can just TMR them into oblivion. And with the speed in which they can take everyone into damage immunity now, I'm thinking of like dropping Scout for Kara or Pow for Kara. Because I think that'll give you the, like you said, the ability to actually kill your train when you decide to kill your train.
Okay.
I will give a shout to Jin for being a turn meter cop that just has like a really nice, fun, dynamic tool set.
Yeah, she's really sweet too.
Fair.
Possibility there.
Well, guys, I appreciate you, all of you taking the extra time. That we went a little longer than we usually do for a weekly episode, but so much to talk about here for week 1. Let's go ahead and get ready to wrap up. So, your takeaways and your final thoughts. Dagger, you're up first. What do you got to say? Last thought for the people.
Well, I'm glad you're doing this because I have a beautiful young woman trying to issue me out of the house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, foot tapping.
Yeah. So I'll just say I'm excited for this week. Mon Mothma was one of my favorite teams. I am beyond ecstatic that she finally got, in air quotes, lifter to compete with GLs. And I'll report back with what they can beat, as I think the ceiling is the limit. And yeah, it's going to be a blast. And I hope everyone else joins me in the Saw copium that is hoping that Saw will one day be good on defense again.
Very good. Very good. Appreciate that. All right, TJ, how about you? Your takeaways, final thought, last word.
Yeah, this is a watch and see where we're at. Based on the stuff that you're talking about, Luthen, obviously, I think Beto called it best when we talked about originality. Everybody wants to get under the Saw because that's an easy layup. But it probably ends up being on the Mon Mothma monster that just starts off. It's probably what it would be. So I'm just on a kind of a watch and see right now. This week has a lot of application of, I think we're going to see some flexes on some stuff. Seeing what you faced with Leia's, with the attacker setups, and then really playing into this set 16 and how this is going to change the fights. This is definitely a weird week where we don't know what's going to happen because of the 2 new characters.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Sasha Aisha, sir, how about you? Your takeaways, final thoughts, last word.
Yeah, so this week is going to be my search for the right 5th. And by that I mean, who is the leader and the 5th member of my squad that is going to include Enoch, Hermit Yoda, the Armorer, and Watt? I just find like this kind of combination, those highly versatile, like can kind of go anywhere and adds a wrinkle type of thing, like with Enoch. And this is purely a survival one, but I'm just kind of excited for this stuff, and like partly to try it myself, but mostly to get a chance to watch the community and particularly, the content creators like you guys So go wild with it. So yeah, psyched for the week, but fun new characters.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Appreciate Fatal dropping that. I really didn't think about this plug and play aspect. That's incredibly exciting for a character that I was pretty bored with off rip. Even though I, put some relics on, put some great mods on him, I still wasn't that hyped. But now I'm actually kind of excited. That's cool. Which brings us to Fatal. How about you, sir? Your takeaways, final thoughts, last word for the people.
Saw on defense is not real, but I'm going down with the ship. If you see a Saw Gerrera, probably just do some shit like Grievous. It'll be fine. Run inside 15. Run some critical points. Have a good time. If you're really that concerned about it, just go mod Mighty Guard or B2 or whoever for a critical point arrow.
Okay. Okay, good stuff. For my part, yeah, TJ kind of actually pinged off of it there for a second, but the idea is I'm kind of excited by that loss of mine to that Leia composition. And I also have been thinking that Sabine hadn't felt really necessary for my uses of BKM, because I don't do BKM versus Gungans. I usually do something else. So I've been feeling like Sabine's been underutilized, and Leia's also been historically not terribly interesting on defense. Now I'm kind of thinking about, how I might make use of that. So making Leia a real defensive team might be something I'm looking into this week. And, of course, shaking up the front wall if I see a certain preference in my opponent's attack. So, as always, of course, do your scouting and look how you're changing up that front wall. Try not to be the same coming into the start of week 2 as you were at the end of week 1, and you'll probably catch them flat-footed. Okay, Fatal, before I go ahead and close us out, as the only other content creator on the stream, please shout out your stuff. Where can the good folks find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV. I will be trying some stuff that I do not really recommend anyone else try yet. We'll see how things go.
And he'll be doing it, not earlier than 4 p.m. Eastern, U.S. time, because this is a guy who doesn't ever do it with more than an hour. I think, didn't you win round 3 on, under 40 minutes? Granted, you jammed up your opponent really well, but nevertheless, you managed to clear more than he cleared in under, 30 minutes?
I appreciate the hype, but I do not count that one because that one specifically was they attacked at roughly the same time as I did. Round 1, my opponent did get jammed up, and I could just waltz in with 30 minutes and clear more. So
no, I'm gonna push back on you about this one because it's exactly your plan that if this guy really wants to do it like that, then he's gonna have to race you in the last hour. And that's what you've conditioned yourself for.
But they did not start when I started.
Oh, okay.
It was like, I had been attacking for 10 or 15 minutes, and all of a sudden I saw the number creep up, and it was like, oh.
Oh, wow.
And
so
actually,
he went later than you did.
He went later than I did, and I will give credit where credit's due. I was kind of having my phone or dragging my feet at some points that, it was like a one-match win, basically. So
all right.
I would actually say that they outperformed me in the speed bracket this time around.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, well, guys, as always, thank you for a great show here. And, of course, for all you viewers out there, you can catch me live, twitch.tv/Tassinix. Of course, Plotting and Scheming's here on my YouTube channel, Tassinix Gaming. This is also put out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and I've now added the Spotify RSS to my links in the video description for Plotting and Scheming as well. But, on the links little channel on my Discord, you can find it there. For all you Apple Podcast viewers, or listeners rather, you can plug that in to your Apple Podcasts and enjoy the show through there if that's your preferred interface. Of course, on my YouTube, we also have some other Slugger-related content you'd be interested in. My VODs from Twitch, with chapters added for easy browsing. The Datacron set videos that I make with Aesop Rock, one of the top players in the game. We've got those out for sets 15 and 16. And, very soon, set 17, stay tuned for that. Last but never least are my mod guide videos that I started making at your request. Just recently put out a video on how to build your mods itself, the start of a series. So we'll keep that moving. Appreciate your requests, interactions, comments on that. Thank you, guys. Of course, let's see, what else? What am I missing? We got the Discord, we got the Twitch, we got the YouTube. Yeah, if you like the stream, you like the show, you want to support this, you like the cut of my jib, I did create a Cash App at you guys' request. It is $Tassinix. And of course, you can, if you're wanting to get a little something back there, you can also take a look at the Patreon. Patreon.com/Tassinix for any upwardly mobile GAC player. I think there's something there of interest to you. At $5 a month, you get into the TAS house with early access to plotting and scheming. The general release for the show's on Fridays. My patrons get it usually Tuesday night, early, Wednesday morning, depending on when we record. In addition, you also get early access to the Datacron set videos, and of course, a dedicated text and voice channel where you can find me, usually lurking on my Discord. Thank you to Andrew, Arj, Brock Thudsteel, Deadpool Cow 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Ray's Malbus, Renee Bebe, Sam Vimes, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens 14, White Wolf, and Zoltre. Next up let's see, let's turn off the one before we turn on the next one. There we go. Next up at VIP Access Plus, this is the bundle with patron access to me and to OmegaBot. So if you like those detailed scouting reports I do on my opponents at the start of the stream, that is a patron feature where I can take more than just the last 2 weeks of history, get that nice report where I get an at-a-glance view of what my opponent's offensive and defensive tendencies are. Love that. Thank you to Striker and Dash Sotnikam for taking that offer. At VIP Access Premium, that is the DoubleBot bundle with, access to me, to OmegaBot, and to Hot Utils, which is the premier tool for your mod and loadout management. I like to do my mods for the most part manually in-game, but players like TJ, Fatal, they will rework their whole roster for Grand Arena and whatever other modes using Hot Utils. Incredibly powerful stuff. Thank you to Quig, Ibanec, Sir Boss, Funky, Focus, and General Milan. At the top of the heap in Jester's Club Elite is Nomad's Reaper, my #1 supporter. He'll pop into stream from time to time, drop hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies. Appreciate you so much for the support over the years, dude. And of course, our special thanks to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters, bought me the mic that I'm speaking to you on right now. He has long since quit the game, but we remember him fondly. Wish him well from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, in the background here, keeping our wonderful daughter out of my hair while I attempt to record content and be halfway decent at a phone game. In addition, also reinforcing me with beer here during this conversation. Thank you so much. Of course, last but never least, my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, such a pleasure to make this show with you. I know, it's sometimes challenging for us to bring all of our schedules together between our work, family, personal obligations. We're still getting it done week by week. Couldn't imagine a better show without you guys, so thank you so much. All right, and we come back over to close out. We're finished up with week 1. A lot of new stuff here to try with week 2. It's actually pretty momentous having these 2 very significant characters added in. Much more surprising to see how significant Enoch will be. I expected big things from Luthen, but honestly, I'm very much more excited about Enoch now. But either way, until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.